time for Pentecost was fulfilled, they were all in one place together, and suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind, and it filled the entire house in which they were. Then there appeared to them tongues as of fire, which parted and came to rest on each one of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak in different tongues, as the Spirit enabled them to proclaim. If you look carefully at the painting before us by the 16th century artist Titian, you will notice that Titian invites us directly into the upper room where the apostles and the Blessed Mother are gathered on that first Pentecost. Titian is depicting the moment described in our first reading from Acts of the Apostles, when there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind, and tongues as of fire appeared, which parted and came to rest on each one of them. In that dramatic moment, the Church is born. The Catechism of the Catholic Church helps us to understand what is happening in the scene. The fullness of the Spirit was not to remain uniquely the Messiah's, but was to be communicated to the whole Messianic people. Filled with the Holy Spirit, the apostles began to proclaim the mighty works of God. What Catechism explains in theology, Titian captures visually. When we first approach the painting, we notice that it is divided almost naturally into 3 horizontal levels. At the very top is the dome ceiling, curving upward above the figures. In the ancient world, a circle symbolized eternity because it has no beginning and no end. By placing this great circular dome above the scene, Titian reminds us that what is happening here comes from the realm of heaven itself. At the very center of the painting, we see the dove, the traditional symbol of the Holy Spirit, radiating light downward. The rays of light pour from above like a divine fountain. They break open the darkness of the room and stream toward each person gathered there. At the bottom, we see the apostles and Mary firmly planted on the earth. Notice how the architectural shapes below are rectangular and solid, symbols of the created world. So in one sweeping visual moment, Titian shows us heaven descending to earth. The Spirit of God pours down into the lives of ordinary men and women. But perhaps the most striking feature of the painting is the emotion. The figures are not calm or composed. Pentecost is not a quiet moment. Look at their gestures. Some apostles stretch their arms upward as if trying to receive the light that is pouring down upon them. Others turn toward the radiance in amazement. Their robes swirl with movement, and their faces are filled with awe, wonder, and even a kind of holy astonishment. At the center of the painting sits the Blessed Mother. Unlike the apostles, she appears calm, receptive, and prayerful. Mary becomes the still point of the entire composition. She who first received the Holy Spirit at the Annunciation now receives the Spirit again with the newborn church gathered around her. From the dove above, rays of light fall upon each person individually. But the light does not stop there. It spreads outward beyond the apostles themselves. In fact, if you look closely, the light seems to spill beyond the boundaries of the painting, almost as if it was reaching out toward us. Because the artist is expressing his faith that Pentecost did not end in that upper room. The same Spirit who filled the apostles is meant to fill the entire world. There is a beautiful old custom in parts of Europe that beautifully captures this spirit of Pentecost. On Pentecost morning, people climb to the tops of hills and mountains. They stand there in the early morning wind and pray. They call it catching the Holy Spirit. See, for them, the Spirit is not something they see. There are no visible flames, no descending dove. Rather, they feel the wind. For them, Pentecost is not a matter of seeing, but of feeling. And that is precisely how the Holy Spirit often works. Besides Luke's vivid account of Pentecost, we also hear in John's Gospel this Sunday that the risen Jesus breathed on his disciples and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit." A breath is not something you see. It is something you feel. And that image goes all the way back to the very beginning of the Bible. In the book of Genesis, we are told that God formed the human person from the clay of the earth and then breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. The breath of God is what gives and sustains life. And the Spirit of God continues to breathe life into the church today. And when we look again at Titian's painting, we see exactly that moment. The apostles and Mary catching the Spirit with awe, wonder, and hopeful expectation. Today we celebrate the birthday of the church. On that first Pentecost, the apostles were transformed from fearful disciples into courageous witnesses, and the same Spirit that filled them is given to us. On this Pentecost Sunday, may we feel the breath of Jesus within us. May we recognize the Holy Spirit moving not only in expected places like church, but also in surprising places through unexpected people and in ways we may not always understand. And may we remember that all things are possible when we allow God's Spirit to blow where it wills. As we gather now around the Eucharist, may we ask God to rekindle within us something of the fire, the wind, and the joy of that first Pentecost so beautifully captured in Titian's painting. For today is truly a great day for the Church, the day when heaven touched earth and the Spirit of God set human hearts and the world on fire.